and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Majority of Democrats want a candidate other than Biden in 2024, says a poll. Just 35% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents, the number is a lot higher than that, want President Biden to run for a second term in 2024, or much lower than that. Apologies for that. The poll produced by Langner Research Associates found that 56% of Democrats want the party to choose a different nominee for president, while 9% said they had no opinion. In this day and age, you can't have one of these no opinions. Oh, I don't know. Look, Biden's senile. It's either you want a crazy old man in the White House or you want someone competent. Anyways, but then again, no matter who gets elected into the White House, these politicians don't like you. Biden and his aides have stressed that the president intends to run again in 2024, just like Trump's going to. 2020 is going to repeat itself, folks. Two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup, and that cold bowl of soup is America. Although he has not made a formal announcement, it's much too early to make that kind of a decision, Biden said when asked about his intentions on CBS 60 Minutes last week. You know, remember that interview where he said the pandemic's over? We did, folks. Adding that an official announcement would trigger multiple campaign reporting would trigger multiple campaign reporting rules. I'm a great respecter of fate. Ugh, God. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing my job. I'm gonna do that job, and within the time frame that makes sense after this next election cycle here, going into next year, make a judgment on what to do. The poll found 39% of respondents approve of Biden's job performance compared to 53% who disapprove. The president's approval rating has remained underwater for more than a year, with inflation at a 40-year high. The number is much higher. See, the thing is, again, getting all this polling data, they're probably calling people who still have a home and maybe a phone line or anything else. Because remember, a lot of these people who do the research, they're not really, talking to average Americans. 36% of respondents approve of Biden's handling of the economy, while 57% indicated they disapprove. Again, Americans are just tired of Biden and his senile behavior. Despite the deficit on his handling of the economy and general performance, the poll found an increasing portion of Americans believe Biden has accomplished a great deal in the White House. Like what? And before anyone says student debt, remember, you still have to pay off that interest. That 10K ain't going to do crap. You didn't get anything, but hey, at least they're talking about student debt. I'll give them that. They're talking about it, but they're not going to really do anything about it. 40% said he's accomplished a great deal or a good amount as president, rising 5 percentage points from when the pollster asked the questions last fall. Democrats this summer achieved a string of legislative victories, including issues on like gun control, climate spending, all right, and semiconductors. I'm glad they brought up semiconductors because that's when old hagbag Nancy Pelosi, ice cream Nancy Pelosi, decided to fly into Taiwan and cause an international incident between the United States and China. But hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. I know, controversial statement. What is democracy? Type 1 if you're happy those semiconductors were done with Congress, that, the Democrats got the semiconductor bill passed under their belt. Type 1 if you're happy about it. Type 2 if you don't give a damn about those semiconductors. Anyways, because again, who profited off of that? Nancy, because as we've reported previously on Harlan's Media, Nancy Pelosi does insider trading, just like the rest of Congress. Democrats and Republicans in the United States Senate and House do insider trading. They do insider trading, and they profited not only off of this ridiculous war that's happening overseas, but also all the wars, big oil, and yes, with semiconductors too. And don't get me wrong, I know we live in a very advanced technological age, and we do need semiconductors, but I mean, hey, that's a legislative win. Did you enjoy the win? The 4 in 10 Americans who think highly of Biden's accomplishments remain slightly below historical averages. However, since 1993, the figure is clocked at 43% on average. So there you go. So let's talk about the Biden-Harris administration. This administration is clearly a clown show. And let's look at this case in point. This administration has, throughout its time since being inaugurated into office, they have not follow through with their promises. They still continue on with a lot of the policies from the Trump administration, both foreign and domestic. The kids are still in cages. We are not doing anything really to hold Wall Street or the banks accountable for their actions. We have money for ridiculous regime change wars and coups. The war on drugs is still ongoing. Student debt is still a problem. Everyone who thinks that this is a victory lap with the 10K and student debt forgiveness, you're clearly living in a clown world. Our infrastructure is falling apart. We need at the bare minimum 10 trillion to really invest into our infrastructure. But this is what our politicians are doing to us. And we could thank Obama for giving us Biden, who not once but twice failed to run for president. And I found this video, and I just want to remind all of you just the long-term consequences of the Obama administration and what he has done. I found this video interesting because you got to remember that Biden, for an extremely long time, worked with segregationists. He was against busing and desegregation. He is proud of the crime bill, a man who said he's gladly prostitute himself to corporations. No offense to sex workers, sorry to use that word. So there you go. But under Obama, we got this madness. We got Trump. And because of Biden's association with Obama, we have him now in office. And look, Trump's going to run again in 2024. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. Legitimately, I'll be surprised if he doesn't. But I want you all to just pay attention to this video. I found this, and I think it's something that's worthwhile to share and to ponder and think about.
Actually described President Obama as a Melvillian confidence man, selling us the snake oil of hope and change. Right? I mean, there's no doubt that the symbolic significance of his election mattered. My son, when he was elected, he was 9 years old. He became a grown man with.
I'll never forget the day when Obama was elected in office too, right? It's before I became more aware of the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. It was a big event, historic. I too believed in the hope. I was wrong, but I did believe in it.
Black people in the White House. But he also grew up, right, with the odd juxtaposition and contradiction of a black man in the White House and Michael Brown in the street with a bullet in his head in the Canfield Apartments. Ayanna Mathis, Trayvon Martin, and we can just call the roll. And he also grew up in a time in 2008 when the economy collapsed because of greed, people robbing the coffers of the national government, and housing market collapsed where people lost their homes, and the job market collapsed where the last hired was the first fired. And he saw that the policy response of the Obama administration did not address the misery of black folk in this country in any substantive way. The only argument they could give us was that it would be worse if there were Republicans in office.
Powerful video. But we cannot forget that this is what we got under Obama, and so much more. And again, when you heard a lot of Obama's criticism from Republican lawmakers in the House and Senate, and even from his rivals when they were from McCain and Mitt Romney, honestly, behind closed doors, all those GOP lawmakers were on their knees, just foaming at the mouth, saying, "Thank you, Obama, for deregulating the banks. We're so sorry we had to say those mean things. We're just doing this for the show, man." And Obama's like, "Oh, don't worry about it, Republicans. Hey, listen, we're all in the same boat. Us Democratic politicians and us and you Republican politicians, we're all owned by the corporations. And look, let me be clear. You keep up the act, okay? I'm going to keep on selling the hope and change. I'm going to still do jokes with the people. Now, if you excuse me, I got to fly off to Flint, Michigan and pretend to drink some water. And they're all going to be like, "Yes, Obama, thank you. Thank you, Obama. We love you. Hey, is it okay we say just a couple other mean things?" And Obama turns around and says, "Don't worry about it. Look, let me be clear. You Republican guys, you know that none of us really have original opinions of our own. After all, I'm a Republican myself. Obama out. I haven't done the Obama voice in a while. Oh, the world's dying. But hey, at least, I could still smile and laugh at the vote blue no matter who crowd, because honestly, you still get gems from the Biden administration and Joe Biden himself, because we said throughout all the show in 2020, 2021 that there's something wrong with Biden. That, he has a treasure trove of gaffes of him making horrible statements or really just being senile. And honestly, I don't know who was running the Trump campaign in 2020. You had a treasure trove of videos to use against him for campaign ads. I mean, whoever Trump had working for him was really a stupid idiot. But hey, this wouldn't be Hard Lens Media if we couldn't laugh. After all, Obama's telling you to laugh, right? There you go. Be sure to laugh. Hey, here's my good friend Joe with Elton John. What do I mean? Right. Check this out. I mean, honestly, this is funny. I'm gonna let this repeat for a while.
By the way, it's all his fault that we're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month to help AIDS fight HIV.
Elton John's fault. Instead, he should have said, "Hey, thank you, Elton John, for helping us, do something to fight HIV and AIDS," right? No, it's all his fault.
By the way, it's all his fault that we're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month to help AIDS fight HIV.
Yes, the world is burning. The world is on fire. But hey, we could. Oh, the chat is brilliant. VLX says VLX 11387 says that's just corn pop. Taking him out of context, dude. And Miguel Elton John was like, what? Okay, all right. But hey, I got one more video, because any chance for me to just really step on the Democrats, I will. And look, before anyone says, "Whoa, you're not harsh on Republicans," I know to expect from Republican lawmakers. I mean, that's low. That's not even low hanging fruit. That's rotten fruit on the ground. That's molded. I mean, I know what to expect from Republican lawmakers. They're never going to fight for progressive policy issues. They're not authentic. This whole idea, here comes the Republican red wave. No, GOP, just like the DNC, they don't give a damn about you. And if you're a diehard Democratic voter, diehard Republican voter, you think the person you vote for cares for you, again, tell me what it's like to believe in Santa Claus, little leprechauns, the Tooth Fairy, and Sasquatch. What's it like living in a fantasy world? That must be very nice. I mean, you probably have to live in a fantasy world to even live in this neoliberal nightmare that we call America. There you go. But hey, let's all have a laugh. He doesn't know where he's at.
Mr. President, thank you.
Oh my God.
At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate. But for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the communities where life will be transformed, thank you. So thank you, President Biden, for your outstanding.
All right. Senile old Biden. Where will Mr. Magoo go next? I don't know who they're going to have lined up for 2024 Democratic election cycle. But honestly, if the DNC's all in for Biden, it's going to be comedic gold. But at the end of the day, the people are going to suffer. are going to be the American people. Don't vote Democrat. Don't vote Republican. Vote independent. Vote third party. It's a smart, intelligent decision to make because you do not have a seat at the table when these Republican and Democratic lawmakers are screwing you over.